The night was dark and heavy with silence, except for the faint whimpers of a little girl in the corner of a tiny, dimly lit room. Her name was Amina, only 8 years old, her eyes wide with fear and her small hands trembling as she clutched her mother's arm. The wooden door rattled as angry fists pounded against it, echoing through the walls. A deep, slurred voice thundered, "Open the door! Don't make me break it down!" Amina's heart raced, and tears streamed down her face. She buried her face into her mother's torn dress and whispered, almost choking on her sobs, "Don't hurt us, please, don't hurt us." Her mother, Zoya, a woman in her early 30s, looked weak and exhausted, her face marked with worry and sleepless nights. She held Amina tightly, rocking her gently despite her own fear. "Shoo, baby, I'm here. Nothing will happen to you," she whispered, though her own voice betrayed the trembling of her soul. Outside the door was the landlord, furious because rent hadn't been paid in months. He wasn't just angry, he was cruel. He threatened to throw them into the streets in the middle of the night, and his pounding on the door grew louder. Zoya's life had been a constant battle since her husband left years ago. She told everyone he had abandoned her, but the truth was more complicated, a truth even little Amina didn't know. What Amina knew was only hunger, cold nights, and the fear of men's angry voices when her mother pleaded for mercy. Then, in the midst of this chaos, something happened that neither Amina nor Zoya expected. The sound of heavy tires screeched outside the little house. Headlights cut through the darkness, and the landlord suddenly froze mid-pound. The roar of an expensive car's engine silenced the street. A tall figure stepped out, his shoes polished, his suit immaculate even in the late hour. His presence alone was enough to make the landlord step back nervously. The door burst open, not from the landlord, but from this stranger. And in a booming voice filled with fury and authority, he shouted, "Enough! Don't you dare touch them!" Amina's tearful eyes lifted, and for a moment she couldn't understand. But then her mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. It's him," Zoya whispered. It was Amina's father. A man she barely remembered. The millionaire who had left years ago, Khalid. Khalid stormed inside, his eyes blazing with rage not at his family, but at the landlord who shrank under his glare. "How dare you threaten them?" Khalid's voice roared like thunder. He pulled out a thick wad of cash and threw it at the landlord's feet. "There's your rent. Now get out before I make you regret every word you said tonight." The landlord stumbled backward, muttering apologies, and disappeared into the darkness. Silence followed, broken only by Amina's quiet sobs. Khalid turned then, his eyes finally resting on his daughter. And for the first time in years, the mighty man who owned towers, cars, and empires, felt his knees weaken. Amina stared at him, not recognizing this tall man with fierce eyes. She only clutched her mother tighter. "Mama, who is he?" she asked, her voice tiny and scared. Zoya's eyes filled with tears. "He's your father." The word father was strange to Amina. She had grown up believing she had no one but her mother. Confusion and fear clouded her heart. How could this stranger suddenly appear in the middle of their misery? Why had he left them all these years? Khalid knelt slowly, his eyes softening as he looked at his little girl. "Amina, my child. I'm sorry. I should have been here. I should have protected you." His voice cracked, betraying the pain he had buried for years. But Amina only shook her head, hiding her face again. Trust was not something she could give so easily. The story unfolded from there, not just of a reunion, but of battles with pride, forgiveness, and the weight of the past. Khalid was a man who had built his empire with ruthless ambition. Years ago, he had walked away from Zoya and their infant daughter after a terrible misunderstanding. Family pressure, pride, and his own foolishness convinced him that they were better off without him. But he was wrong, terribly wrong. Tonight, seeing his daughter's tears, he realized the true cost of his absence. Rebuilding trust was not easy. Zoya, though grateful he had saved them from humiliation, couldn't forget the night she cried herself to sleep wondering why he never came. "You don't just walk back into our lives like nothing happened, Khalid," she said one night, her voice sharp but trembling. "She doesn't even know you. Where were you when she was sick? When she cried for food? When I begged for help? Khalid listened, his heart breaking with every word. He knew money couldn't fix what he had broken. So, he did something he had never done before. He humbled himself. He stayed. He sat by Amina when she refused to eat. He walked her to school when she was too shy to go alone. He even cooked with Zoya in their tiny kitchen, laughing awkwardly when he burned the bread. Slowly, Amina began to see that behind the expensive suits and powerful voice, this man was truly trying to be her father. But challenges still came. The landlord, bitter after being humiliated, tried again to evict them. Neighbors gossiped about the millionaire suddenly living in the poor part of town. Amina herself struggled with nightmares, whispering in her sleep, "Don't hurt us." Khalid realized money alone couldn't heal her fears. She needed love, consistency, and the security of knowing her father would never abandon her again. Over time, moments of light began to break through. Amina's small hand would reach for Khalid's as they walked. She would giggle when he lifted her onto his shoulders. And one day, when a storm thundered outside, instead of crying, she ran into her father's arms, whispering, "Don't leave us, Papa." Those words melted Khalid's heart. He hugged her tight, whispering, "Never again, my little one. Never again." Zoya, too, began to soften. She saw not just the man who had once left, but the man who was now fighting every day to make things right. Forgiveness did not come in a single moment. It came in small, steady steps, until one day, their home was filled with laughter again. By the end of their journey, the greatest lesson was clear: wealth and success mean nothing without family. Khalid had once been a millionaire in the world's eyes, but now he was rich in the truest sense, because he had regained the love of his daughter and the forgiveness of his wife. And little Amina? She no longer cried, "Don't hurt us." Instead, she smiled with shining eyes and said, "Thank you for staying." Final message for viewers, narration style. And dear viewers, this story is not just about money, or power, or status. It's about love, forgiveness, and the strength of family. Sometimes we forget the people who matter most while chasing dreams, but life has a way of reminding us what truly counts. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments what part moved you the most. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Be kind always for more powerful and emotional stories that inspire and heal. Your support helps me keep creating stories that matter. Remember, the world becomes a better place when we choose kindness.